Filling a cooling system on a modern Mustang isn't as easy as just filling the radiator and calling it a day. This is because the fill point isn't at the highest point in the cooling system. As a result, air will always be trapped in the system if you don't give that air a place to escape. Some will say you need to use complicated procedures like vacuum bleeding and running the engine with the caps off and with a funnel in there and yada yada. That never works and makes a mess. Stop overthinking it. After 30 years of working on Mustangs, I'll show you this simple way to fill your cooling system without special tools or making a mess. Here's the problem. In theory, the cooling system fill is at the highest point in the cooling system, but Mustangs aren't tractors. These complex systems often put the fill point below the rest of the engine, which can trap air in the heads, heater hoses, and other components. The solution is simple. To properly fill the cooling system, just give that trapped air a path to escape. Find a connection point high on the engine and simply open or disconnect it while you're filling. On Coyote-powered Mustangs, disconnect one of the heater hose fittings to vent the system while you fill it. On modular motors, some will have a fitting at the coolant crossover. Remove that fitting while you're filling the reservoir. Then, put a cap on the reservoir and finish filling at the coolant crossover fitting. Fox Mustangs are the worst because the radiator is way below the rest of the engine. They also have this nutty upper radiator hose that loops over the alternator that always has a big air pocket. But disconnecting these hoses at the EGR spacer make a world of difference. They let the air in the engine escape so you can fill it at the radiator. You can also coax the air in the upper radiator hose out by squeezing it while filling the system. After you've filled everything up as much as you can, close all the caps and the fittings and run the engine for about 15 seconds just to circulate the coolant and push the air back out to the fill point. Kill the engine and refill the reservoir. Do this a couple times until things stabilize. After you've run the engine up to temperature for the first time, then recheck the reservoir. Last tip. If you're reusing the coolant after draining the engine, an easy way to know if there's air pockets is if there's still coolant left in your bucket after you filled the engine, then it means the engine isn't full yet. Not too hard, right? If you have any other tips, please leave them for fellow Mustang geeks in the comments.